Hey everybody. Living in my truth. It's Wednesday, y'all. I'm so in love with my aunt. Hey. Hey, living in my truth. Great, 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 great feeling. Love it. Yes. Hey. Today we're going to be on top of it. Talking about risk and gain. Risk versus gain. Living in my truth, you can do nothing but gain. Peace. Love. God. Yes. Well, thank you, Charnel, again, girl, for this awesome, awesome, awesome intro. I love it, y'all. I love it so much. I do. I do. Hey, Coretta. How are you? How you doing, girl? Yes. Girl, it is so beautiful to live in your truth. I know you know what I'm talking about. I know you know what I'm talking about. Let me try to get this thing on. Get us there. Yes. Girl, February is going so fast. It's moving so freaking fast. I just had to say that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome everybody who's popping on. I know there'll be more. You know? Just want to let everybody know. So far, I don't see why my this phone be acting crazy sometimes. I don't understand what be happening sometimes. Sometimes I can't get this thing to do what it needs to do. Because every time I turn around, girl, they're changing things. We definitely got the victory, my sister. We definitely got the victory. There's no doubt about that. We definitely got the victory. Because guess what? Our number one is God. Yes, indeed. Definitely. It was good to see you, too. It was good to see you the other day. You know you're one of my honorees in LNMT Award, girl. I'm so excited. I can't wait. Yes. Let me do this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to give some people a chance to come on. Give me 1 second, honey. I'm sorry. quick. Sometimes I don't know how to get it to stay, but I'm grateful for however it do. Coretta would say you'll be back. Okay. I'll just wait for others to come on. I want to thank everybody for coming on and being on and supporting me every week. I appreciate it. Let's keep it up. You know, it's helping others. It's helping people who suffer from drug and alcohol addiction. You know, mental health. You know, some depression. You know, dealing with drug and alcohol it does give you breakdown in mental health. You know, it causes mental health is what I'm meant to say. Also, depression, you know, and it'll have you to lose the love of your spirituality. You know, I mean, it did me, you know, definitely, you know, and it's a killer. You know, disease is a killer. That's what it is. It's a destroyer. You know, it is we take risks when we're having fun with drugs and alcohol. It's a risk, you know, and we believe that we can, you know, do it different than somebody else. You know what I mean? And it won't get you addicted, you know, to either or, you know, and it'll take us through the fun, you know, the great times, you know what I'm saying, convincing you that you are strong enough for it, you know, and before you know it, you don't have any strength at all, you know, and the only strength that you have is to do as it say, when it say, and for whatever reason it says to feed it. You know, it's a powerful, powerful disease. Basically, the concept states that when you invest your personal assets into the market, I just put it that way, there is a potential for loss. Now, you either going to, you know, do good, or you're going to lose at the beginning because you got to get on your feet. You got to get started. Hey, Stacy, welcome. You got to get started, you know, so there's a potential for loss, but there is also a potential for a huge gain. So in drug and alcohol, you know, dealing with drugs and alcohol, with this crazy disease that it creates, like I said, you could feel like, you know, you up on it when you first start, you know what I mean, and the fun and the gain and all the, you know, happiness you feel you have with it, you know what I mean, you feel secured, you feel like, you know, I got this, I can handle this won't, you know, I won't let it get me, you know, there, I won't let it get me where, you know, it got other people, you know, messed up, the quote unquote alcoholics and junkies, you know what I mean? And you feel like, you know, you know, that, you know, when you start feeling like, oh man, you know, I'm drinking a little bit, I mean, a lot more than I was, you know, and some people will start telling you that, you know, hey, is that Breon? Hey, you know, and you'll get all soggy headed now because that disease part has start coming in. When you, hey Stacy, when you feel like, you know, I got too much, I done drank too much, you know what I mean? That's when your distorted thinking comes and you don't really have control of your thoughts, you know, because that's what alcohol and drugs do. You know what I mean? So it kind of like, you know, slowly but surely, you know, have you on that, you know, I'm good, I can handle it, I just won't do this the next time, or I won't have this much the next time, you know, or maybe it's who the package come from, or, you know, maybe I'll try a different type of drink. That's how I was. I could not find the right drink for me, you know what I mean? I wanted the bougie drinks, you know what I'm saying? Because they look good, and they look like they taste good, and none of it tastes good. That's the crazy part, you know, and just being out there to have something to drink, that's what I wanted. You know what I mean? It made me look good, but actually, it was actually, you know, taking me over, and I don't even realize I'm making such a dumb choice, knowing that I didn't like the taste of what I was drinking, but I drank it anyway. Duh. You know what I mean? But, you know, there is a potential out of this that will be a gain. You know, today I'm talking about risk versus gain in drug and alcohol addiction, how we became alcoholics and drug addicts, you know, and the gain when we find recovery, you know, and we make that, you know, conscious choice to, you know, turn our lives over to the care of God, you know, as we understand Him. You know what I mean? We surrender, you know, from all of it. It's like step one, we admit we were powerless over alcohol and that our lives have become unmanageable. You know what I mean? So we have the 12 steps that will allow us to from the risk that we took that became the problem, that now we can take this same risk that we can gain from the problem and get sober and get clean, you know, because alcohol and drugs, I mean, it really is, it's a mischief. That thing is vicious. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. What you say, Stacy? Not the boogie drink. Yeah, the bougie drink. Yeah, girl, I thought I was drinking and I was bougie. Hey, Shajaya, how you doing? You know, give me a call. Don't forget here. Yeah, I thought I was bougie, girl. I used to drink with the little pinky out thinking I was sitting up there cute. And the whole time I'm sitting up there setting myself up. You know what I mean? Taking a risk. You know what I'm saying? So in my drinking, I was taking a risk, you know. When she said, hey, Miss Tracy, I'm going to call you on Friday. I have the whole day off. I will be waiting. You know that. Your back, Coretta, thanks. It's a huge risk. Stacy said it's a huge risk now, especially you don't know who's selling what. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm so glad that I am not in that world anymore, Stace. I feel so good. I really do. I feel like I have peace in my life. I'm living with peace in my life, you know, giving myself more to my higher power, whom I choose to call God, you know, soldiering and servicing His people with this drug and alcohol addiction, you know, information and education, letting you know that, you know, we still in there. We can beat this. That's the game. You know, the risk that we took is now, it is my game. You know what I mean? It's my game because I gave in. You know, I didn't want it anymore. You know what I'm saying? But I couldn't stop on my own. I had to go get help. We were all risk takers. Absolutely. 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 Every last person who drinks or drug, even the bougie. You follow what I'm saying? Even the bougies. You know, all of it is a risk. All of it is a risk. And here we are on this live so we could talk about these type of things. You know what I mean? And people can get to kind of see it on the other side and see some of the things that they ignore in their selves because they're taking the risk of feeling that they're okay doing it. You know what I mean? And they're having fun with it. Well, hey, I just didn't, you know, take that risk and didn't have any fun. I had plenty of fun. I had very good times. At least I felt, you know what I mean? Until that thing started bugging. When that thing started bugging and I started mixing, things changed big time. Shajaya said, yes, I was just talking about this today. I'm forever grateful to be clean. Me too. Me too, girl. This is the best thing that I have ever done in my life that I wanted to. You know, I was willing to. I made a decision to. All these things, you know, nobody had to tell me these things anymore. I learned how to do them. You know what I mean? And today I do them well, so I feel great. You know what I mean? Nobody can step inside this. You know what I mean? Not in this circle. Not at all. Only if I allow you to. You know what I mean? Because it's personal. It really is. It's personal. And it all belongs to me. That means husband, kids, everybody. You follow what I'm saying? You know, it sounds a little crazy, but it ain't crazy. It's peaceful. You know, Stacy said, yes, the pinky out. And what'd you say? The pinky out finger was the snort finger. I know that's right, God. I know that's right, girl. That's crazy. Yeah, you better know it, because you know I had that silver nail. Remember I told you all about that story? You know, but the concept can be applied to pretty much any aspect of life. It really can. And if you take a risk, there is the potential, the loss or failure. But there's also the potential for a huge gain or success. Now, that's what we was just talking about. You know what I mean? I took that risk, y'all. I took that risk like it was nothing, you know, because I had no fear to it. You know, no worries that, you know, becoming that junkie, you know, that I am, that will ever happen, because I swore I would never let it happen. You know, but the gain that I got from it is that now I can say loud and clear, very loud, you know, that yes, I am a junkie, you know, but I'm a junkie who don't use anymore. I'm a junkie who found sobriety. I'm a junkie who found recovery. I'm a junkie who found people who were just like me and helped me through the way of my road and my roller coaster ride that helped me get myself back today. And because I became willing to do what people were suggesting to me to do and work those 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, you know what I mean? Hey, my life just started I was gaining. I was gaining all the success that I never had, actually. You know what I mean? By living in my truth, you know, I never had what I have today. And that's why it is such a special, great blessing for me today, you know, and that's what brought me closer to God. That's what brought me closer to God, and to know that he never turned his back on me. He said he will never forsake me, and he didn't. You know what I mean? Like, I'm learning a lot of things, you know, today still. You know what I mean? My success is still rising. You know, and I am so grateful for that, but I'm not going to rise and not help my brothers and sisters who are still weak. This is why I'm on Living in My Truth, you know, every Wednesday. You follow? And trying to get on even more. You know, you don't get it and then don't share it. You know what I'm saying? You got to share it, because it's not just all about me. You know, I'm all about me for me, but, you know, my promise and what we do in recovery is we share to the still sick and suffering. You know what I mean? And I'm obligated to that. You know what I mean? I told God, you know, I said, if you get me clean this time, I will always give this back. And I have not stopped. I have not stopped doing that. You know, and still growing at the same time, because I ain't got it all and don't know it all, but I got enough to share, that's for sure. And I'm able to share the truth, you know, of my whole. You know what I mean? I'm able to tell the truth about it, you know, because I accepted the things I cannot change the things I can, and have the wisdom to know the difference. Stacey, you said we took a risk every time we brought that bag of dope, but I'm so glad that I kicked that risk to the curb, and it's a blessing to share my truth. Absolutely, Stace. It feels good every time I know that I'm helping somebody. And I'm helping people on this live that I don't even know, never seen them a day in my life. You know what I mean? But the blessing from God that he blesses me with, I'm blessing you with. You know, so we all can get clean, stay clean, and know that we have each other. You know, this is not a thing where you do this all by yourself and then you just, you get all the help and then you just, forget about the next person or forget who you are, where you came from, what you've done. You know what I mean? Nah. That's not how this goes. You know, and I know a lot of people who's that way. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to keep doing it the way that it's supposed to be done. You know what I mean? Because what works for one may not work for the next. Always know that and always remember that. You know what I mean? I'm not responsible for anybody else's recovery but my own. You follow? When it comes down to the come down. You know, but the sharing and the giving is always, it is always, you never stop that. Because see, somebody got sober to help me. Somebody got sober to help you. So we have to help somebody. We have to help somebody. And then that somebody get clean and sober and they have to help somebody. Because if you follow the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous the way that you're supposed to, you're going to automatically do that. You know what I mean? You can't change it. A lot of people think that they could change this. You know, there's that risk. They got that risk like they could just change it and make it theirs. You know what I mean? Well, you can live your life in the terms that you want to, but you don't change it and make people think what you think is the way that this is supposed to happen. You know what I mean? Because everybody has their perfect timing. I talk about that too. Everybody has a perfect timing. You know what I'm saying? Some ain't ready and some don't believe. Some is not even able to be encouraged to hear you, suggesting them, maybe you need help. Maybe this is that. People don't want to hear that stuff when they're in denial. That's called denial. They don't want to hear that stuff, and some just don't want to get clean yet. You know, but for the ones who do, I'm going to be right there. I'm going to be right there. And I'm going to do whatever that I can do to help them find their peace. You know, because I tell them all the time, the peace is beautiful. The peace is beautiful. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect, but I'm saying my peace is great. You follow what I'm saying? Because, like I said, I follow the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. I have a higher power greater than myself. And I just love me. And it told me that when I learn to love myself, it's going to be the most greatest feeling in the world. And it is no lie, y'all. So any of you that's on here that haven't gotten there yet, hey, look, try it. Take the risk. Because, see, the risk of disease got you out there. The risk of disease got you doing whatever it wants you to do. You got to take that risk to want to get clean, so you can start the successes in your life. Because you will become successful when you learn how to listen so you can hear, and then you'll see. When you surrender, when you start holding yourself accountable, you understand what I'm saying? These things are going to start changing. These things are going to start changing. Them 12 steps, I'm going to tell y'all, first you have to admit that you're powerless over drugs and alcohol. Then you have to come to believe that there's a higher power greater than ourselves that can help us restore our sanity. You know what I mean? Because we being insane. You know what I mean? And thinking that we have sanity. We don't think nothing has really changed. We don't feel like nothing has really changed because we can't change. We don't know what feelings are anymore, what normal feelings are anymore, because our normal feelings become the life of a junkie and the life of an alcoholic, and then that makes our normal feeling abnormal. So it's like reversed. And then feeling normal, like you used to before you took the risk. You follow what I'm saying? You don't feel it no more. And you don't understand, that you're there. You don't understand that you're there. You don't understand that you have become this alcoholic. You don't understand that you became this addict, because with that change comes denial. So if you're in denial, nobody can tell you nothing. I know that's how it was for me, because I ain't feel like I was doing bad. I ain't feel like the things I did was so bad. You know what I mean? From what everybody was saying I was doing. It was all right, for me, because at this point, my risk of dealing with the drugs and the alcohol was actually doing what poison does to a person. It flips you, and then it starts killing you.
and then it does it slowly, and then you being introduced to dis-ease, which is dis-ease, it becomes disease, and now that you're at dis-ease, you done. You don't know how to fix this now. You don't know how to do nothing but what we were doing. Lying, conniving, stealing, tricking, everything we was doing is what we was doing, because that's the change of that risk that we took. When we felt like we can handle this thing, and because Johnny can handle it. You follow what I'm saying? I never thought in a million years that I would become a junkie. Never. But I had a whole lot of other things that was going on with me, and I put that in the hey Kim, I put that in the mental health part. Now this mental health thing done flared up on me that I'm in denial too. You know what I'm saying? Recovery helped me recognize that. It helped me recognize the mental health part of my sickness, because you couldn't have told me that, I was dealing with no mental health. Now you're telling me I'm crazy, because that's what I heard. Because see, don't forget that my normal is reversed now. You know what I mean? It's reversed into a very sick world. You know what I mean? That won't allow the truth to set me free. It allows the truth to make me go off. It makes me go to another level now, because now I'm in this real deep denial. You know what I mean? And you causing me a problem. You know what I mean? You're a liar. I'm not a liar. You're a liar. I don't see, what I see today, with the mask off. I didn't see anything then. All I did was felt the desire of needing another hit, and in that denial lifestyle was a dark place. It was a very dark place, and it was a dark place that I was trying to get out freely myself, and I just couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Tried 100 times, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it until the like I said, you dig and you dig. I was just digging and digging and digging. You know what I mean? Until the shovel started hitting the rocks. You know what I mean? And then that's when it was either do or die. Basically, it was do or die. And but for the grace of God, I found that at that rehab and went to that rehab. And today I still work in the rehab because that was the best place for me to be, for my recovery. You know what I'm saying? So the risk that I took, to be the cool girl drinking the martini with the pinky, looking all good, looking all sharp. Then I went to the snorting, and then I started smoking. You know what I mean? So that risk wasn't on top. On top. That risk took everything from me. You know what I mean? But today, my rewards is the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. You know what I mean? With people in NA and AA, and hey, Edwina, people like Edwina, you know what I mean? That can help me at need, whenever I need it. Because today I'm living in my peace, and I wanted to get more peace. I'm just feeling what peace feels like. You know what I mean? And I'm loving on it. I'm loving on it a whole lot. And I wanted to get better and better and better. And but for the grace of God that I have in my life, you know what I mean? Long as I do as he says do, and he direct me to do, it's going to get better. Long as I believe in him before anything and anybody, you know what I'm saying? This can't work without him. These 12 steps can't work without him. You know what I'm saying? And the 12 steps is what was introduced to me once I asked God for forgiveness. And ever since, it's been rolling. So my success is getting good. My success, as far as I'm concerned, today is great. You know what I mean? It outweighs the risk of challenging drugs and alcohol to be the cool girl. You know what I mean? The sweet girl. But will I look at my brothers and sisters that's out here that's still suffering? Will I sit here with all the knowledge that I have about drugs and alcohol addiction today, because I've walked the walk and now I can talk the talk? I'm going to talk till my head blows off, and I'm going to talk it out loud, very loud. I'm going to just talk to help the still suffering families, friends and loved ones that's dealing with somebody who took the risk. You know what I mean? So they can see that taking the risk of recovery is greater than the risk we took to destroy ourselves. You know what I mean? To get caught up in that hole that we were talking about last week and not knowing how to walk around it. You know what I mean? Open the door and just walk right in it. You follow? So it's a lot that I have to say. You know what I mean? For every time I come on here on this episode, you may hear some of the same things, but you're going to hear some new great things too. Because see, it's never enough. I don't care how many times you hear whatever. You understand? Because it's medication. You know what I mean? And somebody may not have heard it, you know, that comes on here. You follow? So I need to keep on repeating what I know. I'm going to continuously do it, you know, because that's how I got it. That's exactly how I got it, you know, and I can only give what I got. You know what I mean? That's why I'm so grateful for you guys being on here, because a lot of you on here are in recovery as well. You know what I'm saying? And we got to keep spreading this. We got to keep spreading this. We got to line up like an army, y'all. We got to line it up. You know what I mean? And continue to help the suffering and continue to help the families who don't really know a lot about disease, that it's cunning, baffling, and powerful. You follow? Some people be like, man, I don't want to hear that stuff. But guess what? It's okay. It's okay, because one day it might be their time. You follow what I'm saying? We talk about that too, the perfect timing. It might be that person's time. You know, right now may not be that. You know what I'm saying? And that's the risk that they take as well. You know, all of it is a risk. You know what I'm saying? But we want to get to the successes and the gains of it. You know what I mean? To start living our lives under the care of God. You follow? You know, like I said, recovery, the 12 steps is definitely based off a religious program. You know what I mean? The whole thing, far as I'm concerned. You know, and if not, I've learned that it is for me. You know what I mean? Because I love God. You know, I hated God at one time. I loved God unconditionally more than I love myself. You know, and I am grateful that I turned my back around to the front, you know, and confronted God, and he confronted me, and all he said was, I never left you. And I felt that. I felt that because I was able to listen. I was able to listen to hear what people were telling me in recovery. The counselors, everybody, you know, that was in recovery. I could hear my family and some people that was trying to help me out there. I can hear and just feel what they were saying. That was my peace coming to me. You know what I mean? It was helping me find peace in that suffering that I was suffering with under the influence of drugs and alcohol and living and believing in disease in a dis-ease world. You follow? So this thing is great, I tell you. We take risks, but we also gain rewards. There's no doubt about that. You know what I'm saying? Getting sober is potentially huge risk. You know what I'm saying? It's a huge risk, you know, to our sanity. And this is what I was just saying. You know, it fixes this. It helps fixes this. It helps put all that broken brain, which I call the puzzle pieces, it helps put all that in the right places. In the right places, because sometimes with no help we put a lot of those pieces of that brain in the wrong places, and disease is so powerful. I mean, so powerful, and got us so heavenly, toe up from the flow up. You know what I mean? It's going to spin us around like a puppet. You know what I mean? The more we try to fight it, the more it's going to make us worse. It's going to make us worse because it's in control. It's in control. Disease ain't in control of me today. Not today, and I'm grateful for that. Disease ain't definitely in control of me. It's in me. I got it. I can't get rid of it. You know what I mean? But I got the antibiotic for it. No means no by any means necessary. You understand what I'm saying? I got them 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. I got the people in the rooms. I got loved ones today. You know what I mean? I got armor that I wear. You follow? And I'm still fighting disease. You know, it's there, you know, but I'm in control today. I'm in control today as long as I say no. I recognize the voice of sickness. I recognize the feeling that comes on you. You know, when you get that urge or you get that's something that's bothering you. I blame it all on disease. Every single bit of it. And it works for me. It definitely works for me. So give that a try. I don't care if it say, girl, don't pay the electric bill. Nope, that's sickness. That's disease. I blame it all on disease. Because all I have to do is the right thing. All I have to do is what I am supposed to do. And as long as I follow the rules, I can't go wrong. And I promise you, you won't either. I can't go wrong. So yeah, getting sober is potentially a huge risk to our sanity. We are stepping away from the one thing we know makes the pain go away. You follow? However short-lived, this may be. But there is also potential of a huge reward if you make the decision and the choice to go in the opposite direction and surrender. Trust that. Happiness you'll get, serenity you'll get, peace you're going to get, friendship again you're going to get, freedom you're going to get, usefulness you're going to get. Follow me. Hear what I'm saying. Love you're going to feel, family you'll get, even if you have to have a new family. You follow what I'm saying? Sometimes people, like I said, it's not their timing. They're not ready to forgive. They're not ready to allow you back in their lives. You know what I mean? Everything takes one day at a time. And like I said, a day starts with a second becomes a minute becomes an hour, and an hour becomes a day. You know what I mean? We have to learn how to adjust to a day, and don't overwhelm ourselves with our successes. You follow what I'm saying? And then don't let the sickness overwhelm you at the same time. So we always got to be on our P's and Q's. You know what I mean? And prayer take care of that. There's no doubt about that. But we always have to be on our P's and Q's. Stacy said I read that out already, Stay. I'm sorry. I had to hit the thing. Hey, Bev. And Coretta said, great information as usual, sis. I have to go. Oh, she had to go to Bible study. Talk to me later. Okay, that's fine too, because that's a place that's good to be, just like here is a place good to be. For some, a lot of people do Bible study on Wednesdays, around this time. You know what I mean? A lot of them pop on just as soon as they're done. But if I had one person on here, Living in My Truth gonna go on. You follow what I'm saying? It's gonna go on. Hey, Bev. I do want to shout out Bev. Bev is selling some awesome designer bags, y'all, for great prices. So if you go on Facebook, you can see that. You know what I mean? They the bomb, the Gucci's, everything. Whatever name brand it is, believe me, she has it. And she has a sale going on Facebook. So you can support that. If you're interested in any type of name brand things. That's a good thing in recovery too. It allows us to be able to do those type of things again too. You know what I mean? I can make anything out of part of recovery. You know what I'm saying? Because see, I sold all my stuff when I was in my addiction. I did just what I said that I wouldn't do. I sold every bag. And look, baby, damn sure wasn't getting me no money. It was getting me a couple dollars. I didn't care. Give me $10. Give me $30. Give me $20. I remember one time I sold my boots. And I had the damn boots on. I sold the boots and I had the boots on. You know what I'm saying? Sold my coats. You know what I mean? Sold my house. Oh man, this disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. Cunning, baffling, and powerful. Living from riches to rags. You follow what I'm saying? And was comfortable living with the rags. That's crazy. You know what I mean? From the insanity that I endured from being an addict. You know what I mean? Being a junkie out there with not thinking like ain't nothing wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm in the right place where I'm supposed to be. It's amazing how this thing flips you around from living good to living with nothing and have nothing. That's why I worry about the still suffering that's out there now. Y'all see them, look. Please try to help them. Direct them to the shelter. You know what I'm saying? Or, see if they want any help. Hey, Wanda and Julie, how y'all doing? It's sad. There's a lot of them out there, and when it gets cold, that's when most of them are trying to find a place. They'll start piling up in rehabs and everything. But this weather right here, that'll bring them out of the rehabs. They'll AWOL, they'll do all that because they got to get what they want. You know what I'm saying? Disease is powerful. Disease is more powerful than their, desire for recovery. You know what I mean? It knocks the desire for recovery out of their heads. You know what I mean? And calling them is tearing them up. Go feed me. Go feed me right now. You follow what I'm saying? Get that dope. Get that drink. And it'll overpower them. It'll overpower them. This thing is so vicious. It is so vicious to have lived this lifestyle myself. So I understand it. I understand how it works. This is why I go so hardcore and trying to help them save themselves, because I understand recovery. You know what I mean? I got the message. You understand what I'm saying? I got the message. Now I'm delivering the message that I got that helped me. You follow? Because they can help themselves. And every addict and alcoholic you see, that person is in there. It's just drowning. That's all. It's just drowning, stuck in that hole I was telling you about. And it still don't know how to walk around the hole, But it's hard to get into an addict's head because disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And like I said, nothing good matters. Nothing good exists. Nothing good you'll hear. Sometimes they'll hear it, but disease is talking just like you talking to them. You know what I mean? And the winner will be disease. 9 out of 10. It will be disease because they don't recognize it. They don't acknowledge the fact that this sickness can be kicked in the butt. And it has the power over them, like the puppet, you know what I mean? It has over us that we can't control nothing. Sometimes we hear you. We hear you. But we can't show you that we do. This is how sick this shit is. This is how crazy it is. And sometimes you want to say something so bad, you know what I mean? But you just can't because it's hurting inside. It's hurting. It's a pain that you can never endure unless you would become a junkie. And nobody wants to do that. So that's why you have to listen and hear what we're saying. Some of us don't come back. We don't get the opportunity to come back and help the still suffering addicts and alcoholics today. Some of us don't make it. So this is why this word has to be delivered. This is why we always have to talk about it and share about it. When I first started this, some people saying, what's she on there doing? Talking about all that stuff. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be on there doing that. Well, that's you. You know what I mean? I was given this walk. I was given this walk to do exactly what I'm doing. And I took the job. I said I would definitely soldier this thing. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. I'm going to continue to try to help people hear this message. Help people hear the information that I have. And turn you on to other people who's doing the same thing that I am. You'll hear a lot of us on here today, on here, and we all sharing, everybody share their way. We share in a different way, but we all doing the same job. You follow what I'm saying? It's not a competition. You know what I mean? It's not, I need to be doing what that person is doing, or, that's how I should be doing it. Now, you got to give it the way it's in the heart. You got to give it the way you got it and the way you received it. Because, see, everybody's message makes a difference to us addict or an alcoholic. Everybody's message come into one whole big heart. You understand what I'm saying? One whole big heart. That's why I love the hearts. You follow what I'm saying? And you got to know how to deliver this thing. Open and honest. All it takes is open and honesty. Just tell it. Just tell it like it is. You know what I mean? It ain't no secret to what we do. It ain't no secret to what disease make us do. You know what I mean? It ain't like that we're in our sane mind. We're in a nutty mind. We're not sane people under the influence of drugs and alcohol. We're just not. Even when you sociable and you get lit, you're not sane. You feel different. You talk different. You act different. You do different things that you normally wouldn't do if you were sober. I'm going to say hallelujah on that one. You hear me? I'm going to say hallelujah on that one. I'm going to give myself some heart. Shoot, I'm feeling this right now. I am for real. And as a fellow substance abuser myself, I know how much we love to take risks. Because I really wasn't scared to do almost a little bit of anything. You know what I mean? The risk is losing time, using. That's my risk. I got to using the drugs and the alcohol, you know, and it was making me feel like I was that girl, you know, that I was in La La Land, not knowing that I was really going to La La Land. You understand what I'm saying? That thing flipped the script on me in no time. You follow what I'm saying? You know, we risk our lives every day to get our next fix. That's how it works. We risk our lives every single day. We approach people. We don't even have to know them. We go places with people. We don't even have to know them. I know a story that I have that I had a guy pick me up on. I was walking down 9th Street. Wasn't even thinking about getting high at that particular time. I was getting ready to walk to my mom's house where I used to go on Lewis Street. And this guy, you know, I said, wow, I said, he ain't bad looking. You know what I mean? I was going to my mom's house, get some rest and wash up, you know, and all that stuff. Hell, I was still stinking. You know what I mean? They don't care. When they out there to pick you up, they don't care. They don't care about you stinking. They don't care about none of that stuff. You know what I mean? All they want you to do is what they want you to do. You follow? And they're going to get you high, and they're going to feed you, and if they get high, they're going to get high too, you know? So I was trying to duck this dude, and I was like riding all over the places where I know, you know, guys see him, they're going to whoop his butt. You know what I mean? Get him. You know what I mean? Nobody was out. It was just not my night. Every time I went to one of the smokehouses I used to go to, and I've had him park. Check this out. I had this man parked back there where Columbus School was. Can you believe that? Where Columbus School was, wouldn't nobody heard me hollering. He could have shot me up. Nobody would have heard nothing. And I thought I was the smart person. I thought I had everything in check. You know, and I realized this. I was thinking about it because I always try to think about, you know, taking inventory on myself, you know, and because I am offering what I have, you know, to you and to the still suffering, I try to still dig deep, you know what I mean, and come up with some more things that happen in my life, you know what I mean, under the influence of drugs and alcohol. And I remembered that. I said, I got to share that. You know what I'm saying? It was the risk. This is why I chose for this episode to be risk versus gain. You know, we take many risks, even just in life, period. You know what I mean? But as an addict or an alcoholic, hey, look, a risk, that's normal. That's a normal thing. You know, and I took that risk with this guy. I did not want to get this guy or do nothing to this guy. All I wanted was his money, and he had plenty of that. And I smoked his money up. Believe that. I smoked his money up. He was going back and forth to that Mac machine because I turned him on to smoking cocaine, and he liked it. You know what I mean? And disease hit him right away because you know once you hit and you like, it's an automatic high, period. There's your addiction. Welcome aboard, because disease gonna get you. Believe that. It's gonna get you. If it don't get you no more, it's gonna get you all night long. And that's exactly what it did. So he ran out of money, and I kept promising what I was going to do. And I was trying to get away from this joker. But I tell you, for some reason, I could not get away from this man. So yes, I end up having to do what I had to do. You know what I mean? It was crazy, you know? And then that joker put me right out his van right there, back there where Columbus is at. It's all dark, you know, and all that. I had to walk my way and end up going to my mom's house anyway. You know what I mean? Needing more dope now. Just needing more high. You know what I mean? And I was doing really bad that night. You know, my mother seen me. And like I told y'all, every time I went to my mom's house is when I was coming down. So I never realized in my mind, see, this is how cunning, baffling, and powerful disease is, that my mom ever saw me high. You know what I mean? Because she didn't literally see me getting high. You follow? So in my head, disease had me taking a risk to go to my mom. She's seeing me all like this. You know what I'm saying? And I don't see her seeing me like this because it don't exist. Vicious. Vicious. This thing is vicious. I'm going to tell you, it is vicious. Terribly, terribly bad. You know? And we risk our lives, like I said, every day, you know, to get high. Every single day. Hey, Pam, you know, every single day. You know, it's like a non-stop thing. You don't stop until you just can't do it. You just can't get it. You know what I mean? And then you hurt from that point. The illness off the chain. The illness off the chain. So why not take the biggest risk to date, you know, and try the powerlessness thing. That's what they say. Try the powerlessness thing. The risk is losing time using, but the reward can be great to get sober. The reward can be great, you know, if you turn your life over to the care of God. You know, if you can, you know, surrender and say that, you know, enough is enough. You know what I mean? I can't do this anymore. You know, if you got to go to rehab, go to rehab. You know, if you just want to go to church, go to church. You know, if it's somebody you know that you feel can help you, go to them. You follow what I'm saying? Go to your moms. You know, look for help. Go to the police station if you have to and tell them what's going on with you. You follow? Today you can't trust nobody out in the streets. You follow? Because that's where everything is. That's where disease live, in that nasty society. You follow? We took risks out there every single day, every single night. We take risks out there. We don't know what's going to happen to us. What it is. That story that I told you, that's just one. You understand? That was just one story. You know? But finding recovery, you know, and surrendering, you know, and finding a higher power greater than myself, it took a minute. Like I told y'all before, I just didn't turn over to this. You know, my cousin Levert, you know what I mean, that worked in the rehab, shocked me. I didn't know he worked there. You know, I shared this story 100 times. You know, if it wasn't for him, I'm telling you, I don't believe that I would have even recovered. You know, for the time and the love that he shared with me as a recovering addict. And I'm not talking about the pastor in him. I'm talking about the recovering addict in him. You know, he shared some deep things that, you know, I was like shocked to see him anyway, because I was up to no daggone good, because see, sickness was talking to me. You know what I'm saying? And I was so happy, but so mad to see him. You know what I mean? Because, you know, a part of me wanted, you know, to get out. You know what I mean? But I was in the hole. I didn't know how to do it. You know what I mean? I didn't have no strength for it. You know, I just wanted to get, you know, 28 days, because I ain't had nowhere to go and get some more food stamps and money. You know what I mean? I ain't have it in me to get to stop getting high. You know, because everybody told me what you do when you go in there anyway. See, that's what happens, you know. Everybody that's out there still doing what they do. We work the system. We know how to work the system. And if you don't know how to work the system, we're going to teach you how to work it. You know, that's real. That's heavy. That's real. You follow? We take the risk with the welfare office. We take a risk with everybody and anybody to get what we want. We take a risk, you know. And he taught me. He talked to me every day. He talked to me till my head was hurting, you know. And I just told him how I felt, you know. Him and Doc Watson. And I cannot leave my sister Cheryl out, you know. Because she was the one I let know I was in that rehab, you know. And I told her, I don't know what praying is. You know, God don't answer my prayers. You know, and they told me you need to listen. God answer all prayers. I said, well, he ain't with me. He don't help me. You know, that's when my back was turned on him. You know, because I was dealing with so much anger, resentment. You know what I'm saying? Things that I the trauma, you follow, all the things that I was doing out there. That's trauma. You know, all the things that I said, you know, to people, you know, that I knew who loved me. You know what I mean? And I didn't love myself at that time. Even before, I'm going to share this with y'all, even before I found love for me, you know, the love that I have today, I am just absolutely just crazy in love with me. You know what I mean? Me and God, you follow? And I thought before I took the risk to become a junkie, I thought I loved myself then. You know, and truly, I really felt like I did, you know, but when I took that risk and became a junkie, and then I took the risk to get clean, oh my gosh, the feeling is just like something that you just never felt, you know, it is beautiful. It is a whole nother world. It explains what love is. That I thought I already knew what love meant and was. Today I live it. Today I know what it is. And it started with God. You know what I'm saying? Who helped me all along the way that I thought he wasn't. You know, it was my traumas that kept me from believing in him. You know, so disease was after me a long time ago. You know, with some of the crazy decisions and stuff that I was making, you know, but I want this love. I want to keep this for the entire rest of my life. And I want to share it with you and everybody else in any way that I could possibly help. Because trust me, it's there. It's there. You know, self-love will heal you like I've been healing. You know what I mean? Even though I got this lupus and I got this rheumatoid, you know what I'm saying? That ain't stopping me, making me sad. That ain't making me want to use. That ain't making me want to feel like I'm lacking something. You know what I mean? Hey, the love for me and God is making me stand tall, even with these sickness. It's making me get through every day, one day at a time, because that's how I take it. You know what I mean? Because that's how my life is programmed. That's how my life is scheduled, one day at a time. You know what I mean? I don't try to go ahead. You know what I mean? And I'm grateful for yesterday. As long as everything don't always go perfect. You know what I mean? But today is today. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going to live this day for as long as I can. Like I said, starting with the second. You know what I'm saying? It motivates you. You get very motivated. Like I am. I'll be so motivated to do this self-check, self-love first. You know what I mean? But to offer, you know, the love, you know, and the information and education that I have in recovery, you know, to still help the still suffering addict and alcoholic today. You know what I mean? It empowers you. You know what I'm saying? It also restores you. That's what happens, you know. So I feel restored now. You know what I mean? And I'm going in walking the walk of restoration. You follow what I'm saying? I'm walking the walk. You know, to my last day, I'm gonna see God. You know what I mean? You know, and today I'm just so grateful that I got this. You know what I mean? And my heart, you know, is so full of love, joy, peace. You know what I'm saying? Gratitude, being, you know, the serenity, you know, everything. You know what I'm saying? Especially with getting sick again with another beastly disease. You know, but one thing it's not going to do, I'm not going to let it take me. I'm not going to let it take me out. It's going to have to do what it's got to do, but I give it to God every single day. Every single day. You know, I'm so into me right now, my growth, you know, my self-care, my love, my happiness, my mental, you know, and my peace. You follow? You know, as you get stronger, I'm gonna tell you, as you get stronger in recovery with loving yourself, you really just want to be surrounded by people like yourself. You know what I mean? You know, surrounded by good people. You know, people that are good for you. You follow? You know, people that that are good for you. You know, and people that's good to you. You follow what I'm saying? You don't want to be around all the nonsense and all that kind of stuff. You know, and good for your change. If people can't understand your change, there's something wrong with that person. You follow? Because there's a lot of people that don't see me like they used to see me. You know, but personally, I don't see you like I used to see you either. You know what I mean? Because we're doing two different things today. You know, and I choose not to. Why? Because I love myself. Why? Because I took a risk. Why? Because I have a disease that's cunning, baffling, and powerful. Why? Because I love God today that helps me live one day at a time. You know what I mean? So if you ain't on my time, our time ain't good together. Bottom line. That's how I see it. That's exactly how I see it, y'all. You know what I mean? And that's why I share my time. That's why I share my time and give back. You know what I'm saying? To try to help people, you know, it inspire what they see in me today. You know what I'm saying? Because seeing a lot of people that was out there with me, you know, some is still out there, but some came through. You know what I mean? Because this thing works if you work it. It really does. It works if you work it. You know, so it's never too late to be what you might have been. We all had situations where we gonna be like this, we gonna do this, and we gonna do that. You know what I mean? You know, I'ma always have this. You know, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna be a star, I'm gonna be all of that. You know, it's not too late. It's not too late to be whatever you choose to be. It really isn't. You know, because when you find recovery in your life, I'm telling you, the doors open up. They open up real wide. They open up real wide. And you know, God is only going to lead you on the right path. You know what I mean? All you got to do is take your medication. Those 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. I'm telling you, that's all you have to do. That's what I do for my life every day. I do for my life. You know, people say, man, I read 12 steps. I got a 12 steps. Man, I take this medication every day. I'm in one of these steps every single day. You know what I mean? But I'm stuck with step 4. You know what I'm saying? On step 4, taking a more inventory of myself constantly. Because I need to dig. I need to dig for everything that the devil has had, you know, wrapped up in me. You know what I mean? And has taken me through. I don't want to slip and lose out on nothing. You know what I mean? I don't plan on doing that. I plan on to continue to take inventory on myself, even if I got into a freaking argument. You know what I mean? I don't like to argue. I don't want to argue. You know, no more. You follow what I'm saying? I had to find ways how to speak, you know, to people sometimes too. Or sometimes people always say to me, girl, you should see the look on your face. Well, sometimes I want that look to be just what it looked like. You know, and sometimes I can't catch myself, you know, on certain things. So I've been working on that. You know what I mean? I said, well, I don't want them to think that I'm, you know, like looking at them like they're crazy, or you know what I mean? I don't want you around me, something like that. You know what I mean? So it just made me pay attention to something that I needed to do for myself. You know what I mean? Because I don't know where this beeping is coming from, but I'm hearing a beeping from somewhere. Excuse me, y'all, but it made me stop and look and say, Tracy, you hear that a lot. Maybe that's something that you need to pay attention to and fix. You know? And that's what I've been working on. I've been working on, you know, making sure that I'm not giving people a look that don't mean what I'm saying or I'm feeling, you know, at the time. You know, I don't know how to catch it. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, girl, you should have seen the look on your face. I said, well, sometimes the look on my face needs to be the way the look is. Nah, you was looking like you was mean or something. I don't mean to look like I'm mean. I ain't never been a mean girl. You know what I'm saying? But I said, well, let me try to catch that. You know what I'm saying? And let me try to fix that. I ain't perfect. You know what I'm saying? If too many people is telling me this, something I need to look at. You know what I'm saying? That goes into like, they be like, you hear how you said that? I said what? You know what I mean? You know, I was taught in recovery that you have to watch your thoughts, you know, like what you're thinking, because they can become your words. You know what I mean? So we always got to stay on top of the game on what, you know, disease have us do that we don't recognize what we do. You know, that's how I work this thing. You know what I mean? And then you got to watch your words because they become your actions. You know what I mean? Now probably my body language or something, you know, my words is getting a little bit foul. You know what I'm saying? You know, and I don't even realize that that's what I'm doing. And then they say, you know, the words become your action. Then you got to watch your actions because they become your habits. You know what I mean? So I have to pay attention to me. You know, this is what we have to do in recovery. We have to really take the inventory on ourselves. You know what I mean? Because everything is not fixed. You know what I mean? Because you're in a good place. You follow? You know, just the most important thing is just being able to say no to drugs. You know what I mean? And saying no to drugs is just one part of this thing. You know what I mean? You know, taking inventory, you know what I mean, and doing your homework. Now you have to learn how to stay clean. You follow what I'm saying? So in order to stay clean, now you have to change your thinking. And you have to change some of your ways. You follow? I try to explain it the best way that I know how. You know what I'm saying? You know, and then, you know, your actions become your habits, and then you got to watch your habits because they become your character. So here you go. You know what I mean? You clean, but you still stuck. You know what I'm saying? You still giving off this negativity. You know what I mean? Or you think you got it all going on. You know what I mean? And you forget about the still suffering. You follow what I'm saying? And then you treat them like people was treating you. You follow what? And you be so into it, into your character, because you're not taking inventory on yourself, because you think you're okay because you clean. You know what I mean? You don't use drugs no more. So sometimes I know they call alcoholics dry drunks. Well, I call addicts dry addicts. You follow what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can get so cocky, you know what I mean, till you forget who you are. You know what I mean? When it comes to helping the still suffering, you follow what I'm saying? You know they're sick. You walk the walk. You follow what I'm saying? How you going to put somebody down? How you going to make a person feel bad? You know what I mean? Your job is to encourage them. Your job is to help them lift up. You know what I mean? That's the promise that we make when we surrender. You know what I mean? You're supposed to be doing your job because somebody got sober for you to get clean. You know, that's how this thing works. You follow? You can't get above yourself. You follow? You can't act as if, you know, because you don't use no more and you got a car or you got a house, you know what I mean? Or you got some new eyelashes. You follow? Your hair look good. You know what I mean? But you stop growing. You know what I mean? You're not watering the root, you know what I mean, to the seed that you just been given. You follow what I'm saying? To regrow and reborn yourself again. You know, to rise up. You want to come down on people who's not doing it, and you're doing it now. You know what I mean? Who are you, you know, to bring somebody down? That's not how this thing works. You follow what I'm saying? And you got a lot of people out there that don't use no more or don't drink no more, but they think that's all it is. Ah, no, baby. You got to grow. You got to give God what he's asking for. You got to give him and do what he wants you to do with this, because this is a problem. This is a problem. This is killing his babies. This is killing his children. You understand what I'm saying? And he put us all in this walk to walk for him so that we can help others. You know what I mean? To walk to him. You understand, and believe in him again. You follow? You can't get cocky. I call that getting cocky. You know what I mean? You can't get right because nobody's right in recovery. We all have to stay green, you know, so that we can get these type of things done. So we won't fall into this type of thing. You follow what I'm saying? I'm feeling this shit right now, y'all. You follow? Because this thing give me something in my body that's crazy. You understand? I call it, I get high off of recovery. You know what I'm saying? Because the truth is the light. You follow what I'm saying? The truth is the light. And when you can tell the truth, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. As an addict, living in an addict's life. Because we become crazy liars. We live the lie. We believe the lie. We trust the lie. We just lie. You follow what I'm saying? So that's living in that reverse normal lifestyle as a junkie. A normal lifestyle as an alcoholic. It's not the reverse back to the normal lifestyle that you lived before you took the risk and became the junkie. You know what I mean? And now I take the risk on loving God, you know what I mean? And putting spirituality and everything in my life is the greatest thing that I possibly could do. So I'm going to take my medication. I'm going to take my medication and I'm going to do just as he asked me to do. And I'm going to do it loud. I'm going to do it real loud. So for all the ones don't think this is worth it, God bless you. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to still do it loud, and I'm going to keep doing it loud. So y'all got to get ready for the LNMT Awards because it's coming, baby. It's coming in June. You know what I mean? And it's going to be greater and better than the last time. So I hope a lot of you come. I really do. I hope a lot of you send stars. I hope a lot of you send contribution to my Cash App. You know what I mean? You know, this is nonprofit. You know, I do all this off my own. You know what I mean? Because it's just what God says. You know what I mean? And I'm walking the walk. You follow? I'm very honest and truly in what I do. You know what I mean? I don't make this stuff up. You know what I mean? I tell the truth about everything because when it becomes your character, you got to watch your character because it becomes your destiny. How about that one? It becomes your destiny. So I look at all this with the 12 steps because guess what? It's better. It's greater. It makes more sense. You follow what I'm saying? So let your heart guide you. You know, because the heart whispers in a weak person, like in an addict at the beginning. It whispers, but you definitely have to listen real closely. You know what I mean? Because your heart is there. It's just trying to communicate with the brain. You know, because one can't work without the other. So we have to connect that combination back in order to put disease in remission. Thank God for that. You know what I mean? To put disease in remission. Y'all hear what I'm saying? Put it in remission because you can't get rid of it. We got to put it in remission. You know? We got to put it in remission. You deserve everything in recovery. You know? You yourself deserve it all. You know, as much as anybody in this entire universe, I'm going to say universe, not just world, I'm going to say universe, deserve your love. You do. And affection. You do. So learn to love on yourself, y'all. Surrender. I learn to love on yourself. You know what I mean? And check out these 12 steps. They're powerful. They're powerful. You know what I mean? Following the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholic Anonymous, let me tell you something about the rewards. You know, you'll start hoping instead of desperation. That's how we live. Faith instead of despair. Courage instead of fear. Peace of mind instead of confusion. Self-respect. I'll say that again. Self-respect instead of self-contempt. Oh my God. That one is just strong for me because I lost total respect for myself. I lost total respect for myself. Hey KK. Total respect for myself. Hey, Val. You know, lost all that respect for myself, but I got a great deal of respect for myself today. Ain't that right, Val? I got high. And then you know what, Val? They don't even know how to accept us. They don't even know how to take us, some people. You follow what I'm saying? All they do is remember what they know we used to do. You know what I'm saying? That's just a sad individual. You understand? I call them haters. You follow? I call them haters. I don't care what you know or what you think you know. You don't know half of what was really going on in my life. You just knew I was toe up from the flow up. That's what you knew. You wasn't there to see it. You wasn't there when I was risking myself. That's what this is called. Risk to gain versus gain. You wasn't there when I was risking my life for everything I was doing. You made up some stuff. You know, a lot of them make it up. You follow? But guess what? I surrender. I got tired of being sick and tired. You know what I'm saying? You know, you hear me, Val? We got tired of being sick and tired. And we decided to fix ourselves. We decided to fix ourselves, to get up. Get up and stand up. We talk about that on episodes 2. We got up. And now we're standing. It was our time. It was our time. When we made that decision, it was our time. Everybody has a perfect timing. Everybody is due a perfect timing. And that timing will be when you choose for it. When you choose it. You know, I don't down anybody who's dealing with this type of disease. Anybody. Who am I? Because I'm still an addict. And I will always be an addict. I'm just an addict who choose not to use anymore. But I will carry this disease in me. And it's up to me to be aware of this thing. Because it's cunning, baffling, and powerful. Always have to be aware on alert on this thing. In all my actions, in the way that I breathe, in the way I walk, in the way I talk, in the way I put my clothes on, in the way I go to sleep, in the way I wash my body. I got to be aware that I have a disease that's cunning, baffling, and powerful. Because this thing can come through all of that. That's how vicious it is. It can come through all of that and what I just said. Just living a normal lifestyle. Definitely. You know, you get the respect from others instead of their pity and contempt. You know what I mean? They can't look at me today and say, girl, I'm so sorry. I feel so sorry for you. You know what I mean? Some just still, you know, have that type of look of us in their heads. You know what I mean? You know, but it don't matter. It really don't. You know, that's on you. God checking you out too. You know, whether or not you did drugs or you didn't. Because see, you got a mission too. You got to get in the gate too. You follow what I'm saying? And again, you can remember everything that you what I used to do. You know, any of us as addicts used to do. But I appreciate it. You know, for some, you know, I appreciate it when some people talk a lot of smack. I do, because it only makes me stronger. See, because I done reversed the world. I done reversed that thing. You follow what I'm saying? I walk for God now. You know what I mean? I do his work that he asks me to do. You know, so what you say that the sticks and the stones don't break my bones anymore, and names don't hurt me anymore. They make me stronger. They keep me wiser. They keep me up on top of myself. It allows me to know that I'm doing a good job. You know what I'm saying? Well done, Tracy. You follow? When anybody is saying anything, I say, well done, Tracy. You follow? Sometimes you can be down and broke down and messed up, you know, like I was. You know what I'm saying? And people say you're going to die. You know, they say you ain't going to make it. For us addicts and alcoholics out here, then we find God in our lives. We surrender. We hold ourselves accountable. You understand what I'm saying? And then we become grateful. We get honest. We do all the opposite. And God gives us everything that we lost. He gives it back. You know what I mean? In a way of we appreciate it. We appreciate everything about ourselves, everything that we achieve. You know what I mean? Everything we lost, we get it back better, more, and we do it in a wise way. You know what I mean? And we take the risk. You understand what I'm saying? We take the risk to do just that. And guess what? We become successful. This is what this was all about tonight. It was about the risk versus the gain. You understand what I'm saying? The risk versus the gain. You know, what's up, sis? You know, that's what this is all about. The risk that we take versus the gain that we get. Everybody take risks. Everybody take risks. I don't care what it is you're taking the risk for. But what is the gain that you'll get from it? Because some risks you take don't lead to gain. The risk we took as addicts and alcoholics did not lead us to gain at the time of taking it. We was lost and was not found. You understand what I'm saying? But then when we took the risk to get better, then life started pumping back up in us. Started pumping back up in it. Once we start looking at ourselves, taking inventory on ourselves, you understand what I'm saying? Surrendering, like I said, surrendering, finding a higher power greater than ourselves to help restore our sanity. Do y'all get that? To help restore our sanity. And the 12 steps will run you right through it. I'm going to read these 12 steps to you. It says we admitted to we were powerless over alcohol and drugs and that our lives have become unmanageable. Absolutely. We came to believe that a higher power, greater than ourselves, could restore us to sanity. Absolutely. Made a decision to turn our wills and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. As we understood him. You know, as you understand him in a selfish way. This is between you and this is between God. You know, your recovery is all about you. You know, it's a selfish thing. Then it said, made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. I do it all the time. I'm still stuck on step 4. I don't think I'm ever going to come off that step. Made a searching and a fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact natures of our wrongs. We entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of characters. Humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. Made a list of all persons we had harmed, the things we've done to them, you know, and became willing to make amends to them all. Whether or not they accepted it or they didn't. This was for you. That's step 8. This was for you. You know, you have to forgive. And you have to understand if they don't want to forgive you. You know, then it say, step 9, made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. Absolutely. You follow? Continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. That's where I'm at. I'm still digging. I'm still digging. I am still digging, you know, walking around that hole. I'm still digging, and it's going to be a whole lot more digging. You understand? Because I ain't perfect, and I'm still trying to remember some things. You know what I mean? Because disease always trying to kick it out to me. It always brings something in my way. Always brings something heavy in my way, and I got to figure it out. But I always, when there's a nasty feeling or a nasty taste, I just know that's my sickness. That's cunning, baffling, and powerful, piling up on me through people, places, and things. Because see, this thing can come through anything, anytime, any place, anywhere, any day. You know what I mean? You got to learn about this thing. You got to learn about this thing. Because see, that risk that I took me out. You know, now I've taken the risk of turning my life over, you know, with the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. You understand? And you got to do as it say and say as it do. And you got to live this. You know what I mean? Because Bill and Bob that put this together did an excellent job. And then you'll even learn more and more and more that you can add to helping the still suffering addicts and alcoholics today. Even people who are not on drugs. You understand what I'm saying? That's who we are. That's what we become. We become wise. You know what I mean? And all you can see is, oh, she all wrapped up into that stuff. Well, continue to look at me as I'm wrapped, okay? Because, damn it, I'm unwrapped. Believe that. I am unwrapped with all that nasty sorrow. I am unwrapped with all those risks that I was taking. You know? And today, I'm living happily ever after in peace. And I just want my world to continue to be in peace And it makes my world complete when I'm doing what I'm doing today and helping the still suffering addicts and alcoholics today, and giving some wise information to the families so they can understand and keep loving on their kids. Keep loving on your mom. Keep loving on your grandmom. Keep loving on your dad or your sister or your brother. Because the monsters you see is called disease. You know, but inside there still is your loved one. Trust me. Any and everybody can surrender if they choose to. 11 was sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. And this is just what I do. This is just what us as recovering addicts and alcoholics do. Okay? Because when one gets sober, he helps the next. And 12 is just having had a spiritual awakening. As to the result of these steps, we try to carry these messages to alcoholics and addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Here it is. There it is. This is what I do. This is what gave me my life back. This is what I come to believe in. This is my medication. Here go my Motrin. There go my aspirin. You understand? The blood pressure medicine. There go all those medicine that these devils got me on. You follow what I'm saying? There go that lupus medicine. But one thing for sure, you know what I mean? As long as I take this, I'm going to be all right. Spiritually and mentally. How about that? Even with the lupus, I put God before it. I accepted it. You follow? But that don't mean I gotta die. That don't mean I gotta lay down and die. You know? That means I got to still live. I got to keep doing what I'm doing and taking everything one day at a time. And that's what I plan on doing. And I'm doing a damn good job of it. But y'all, you ain't gonna believe I failed yesterday. Here come another fall. Y'all know I be sharing them falls with y'all. I fell going up the freaking steps. Up the freaking steps. Now see, it wasn't nothing to me. I look like it ain't nothing but disease. I knew I couldn't carry a can of paint, a gallon of paint on these two fingers, food in my hand, a book underneath the food. I had other stuff I bought underneath my elbow. You know what I'm saying? Trying to make it up the steps. And I had a glass of juice. Without a lid. See, I ain't had my limit in my truth cup, y'all. Y'all know y'all these tumblers, right? See, I should have had my tumbler. I got 7 steps. I got to the 8th one and fell. I don't even have a hallway. I don't even know how I slid. But I fell. You follow? And I laid there until I felt better. Then I thought about it. And I said, now you know better. You had no business coming up the steps with all that stuff. But see, that's what I call sickness, you know, the disease. It whispered to me that I could do that. You know what I mean? And I know that's the wrong choice. I just didn't feel like going back down the steps and get that stuff because that was my last time going up the steps. Bad choice. Took a risk. Took a risk and took a L. Took an L. And then I took inventory on it, y'all. I took inventory on it. And I said, now, Tracy, you knew you shouldn't have done that. You just should have took your butt back down them steps and did 2 runs. You know? Wisdom to know the difference. You know? That won't be attempted no more. That's for sure. And now I'm paying for it. Sore as heck on my whole left side. Hands, look, was swell all up this morning and my finger. But for the grace of God, I took that medicine. And I put pads and stuff on my hand, you know, and heating pads on my hand. And thank God they went down and I feel better now. You know what I mean? I said if I didn't feel any better, the right thing for me to do is take my butt over to the emergency or to one of those, you know, walk-in clinics or something, you know, but I feel better. You know what I mean? And I just been taking the Tylenol. So, quick thought, not thinking, not making sense, took a risk and bust my butt. You know what I'm saying? Risks are vicious. They are so vicious. Look, anybody who sent me a star tonight, I appreciate it. If you haven't, if you can, I would appreciate that too. If you don't believe in the stars, you can. I got my Cash App on here. Money sign for you by Tracy. If you want to make a donation to me, I would appreciate that very much, because I'm a nonprofit, and I want to do bigger and better things, for, living in my truth, and for you as the watchers and the ones that come on and share and listen to me, the ones that come on here that comes in and share their strengths and their hope. Girl, y'all, look, the people that I got that's getting ready to come on here now, I'm telling y'all, this thing is going to blow up, because you know what? They are powerful people. You follow what I'm saying? I am so excited, and I can't wait for them to get on. So make sure you look out for my flyers. I always put out the flyers. They will start coming on as of, I believe, next week, next Wednesday. One stop, we couldn't make it because of the snow, so we had to postpone and make another day. Anybody who's on here now, even if it's by video, if you want to come on Living in My Truth and share, you know what I mean? Or just to ask questions is fine. We can do it on a video, or you can come sit on the couch, and let's get it in. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to have a few trios on here. You know what I mean? Like 3 or 4 people again, just like we did before. You follow what I'm saying? The more the merrier. All of us have great stories. All of us have, true information and education from the heart. You know what I mean? If it's not drugs and alcohol, it could be mental health. It could be depression. I don't care what it is. Honestly, I don't care what it is. You follow? And if you want to come on here and you want to give some real, info that can help somebody, let's do it. You know what I mean? This technology is great for, and I just love coming on, Living in My Truth. I really do, and I know I get a little, get that little oomph and all that up in me, you know what I mean? But that's what needs to come out of me. You follow? And I love it. I love it dearly, and I love it gratefully. Living in My Truth LMNT Award this year is going to be beautiful. It's going to be great. Everybody who came last year can tell you it was beautiful and great then, so it can only get greater. You know what I mean? Because, my brain start working. First time was the first time. Now we're going second time. So your donations would be gratefully appreciated. I don't care if it's $1. It don't make a difference, because every dime can help me do this. You know what know what I'm saying? Because again, I'm nonprofit. I'm not trying to, spin anybody. I'm trying to get this thing to spin, in a great way. You follow what I'm saying? So we can get some more people, and to come on, enjoy our time, and be appreciated for what you've done, to receive the award. Somebody asked me, it was like, well, what kind of awards are they? It's awards of appreciation. It's an award of courage. It's an award of giving. You know what I mean? Like, what kind of question is that? This ain't the Grammys. You understand what I'm saying? It ain't the what's that other one? It ain't that. This is all about us. It's my award. It's Living in My Truth Award. That's what it is. We should have more of this on TV, to be honest with you. You follow what I'm saying? We're going to do this thing. We're going to turn this thing around. You follow? Like I said, I'm going to hear it loudly. And I'm going to get louder and louder and louder and louder. You understand what I'm saying? I know that what I do comes from my heart. You understand? What I do today comes from my heart. And what you do on here is coming from your heart. So why not be appreciated? Why not be awarded? Well, guess what? It starts now. How about that? You know, it starts now. You know, so who don't understand, I'm sorry about that. You know, but the ones who, hey, Teresa, what's up, girl? The ones of you who do, you know, Stacy Love says she can't wait for the awards. You know, thanks, Stace. You know what I mean? Help me encourage people. Hey, Nikki. What's up, girl? She showed up. My girl Nick showed up. She said, I love you and missed you. I thank you for being there and helping me cope with my sister's death. I need you so much, and I'm willing to do whatever. Please call me. Oh, wow. I'm going to definitely call you when I get off here, Nikki. You know, Nikki is somebody who's struggling. You know what I'm saying? And she wants it. You know, she wants it. You know, but disease can be vicious. You know what I mean? I'm never going to let somebody down. I don't care what nobody say about anybody that's dealing with this vicious disease, because everybody has a perfect timing. You understand what I'm saying? Again, I'll say it again. Everybody has a perfect timing. I will never turn my back on the sick and suffering. I'm not turning my back on them, because guess what? Nobody turned their back on me. It was me who had the back turned. You understand what I'm saying? And I had to learn what was going on with me in order to help fix me. You follow what I'm saying? And I got it all right here. You know, I just had to have some support with it. And they gave me that. You follow what I'm saying? So I'm not going to turn my back. I promised my higher power that I would always give this back, and I'm going to always do it. That's why my choice of career became a drug and alcohol counselor. You understand what I'm saying? Because it keeps me on top of my game, and it gives me the honor and the greatness and being blessed, you know, to be able to give my higher power the truth from my heart to do exactly what I promised him that I would do. You know, and all he asked me to do is just give it back. That's it. Give it back. And that's what I do. You know, who is that saying it takes a Grammy of success of how we overcome our addiction? Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and when I did this last year, y'all, the people that received it, it was just beautiful watching that and to hear what they had to say in receiving it. The most beautiful thing in the world. The most beautiful thing in the world. It lets me know it works if you work it. You know, and there's nothing wrong with sharing that with somebody else. You know, and I still thank every last one of you, every single one of you that had a part of living in my truth, the LMT Awards last year. Y'all made me feel so grateful. Yes, y'all made me feel so grateful. Got a little emotional just now because it's truly from the heart. It really is. So we on part 2. We doing it again. You know, and this is what I received from that. Everybody, you got to do this next year. You got to do it again. You got to do it again. So that's what we doing. You know, so again, if anybody can, you know, donate anything, my Cash App is on here. I would appreciate it. Or if you send me a star, I appreciate that too. You know, I know the star has something to do with you have to have your card or something there to put a certain amount on. So when you want to send a star, it starts with 20 cents, y'all. You know, that's what they start with, 20 cents, 50 cents, you know, and that'll help me to you know, monetize this Living in My Truth program. You know what I'm saying? And it's different levels that you move up with. You know, that maybe I can, you know, try being a nonprofit, try to get some companies to come in and help with it. You know what I mean? And donate to us. You know, I am going to go out into the city, you know, and I'm going to see if I can get donations for Living in My Truth, you know, and I'm offering, you know, it's just like, you know, when I do a program or something, you know. But I'm a anybody, like any of the companies, hairstylists, auto places, pizzeria places, whomever gives a donation, it doesn't matter how much to them either. You know what I mean? It's whatever, you know, is coming from the heart, you know, gracefully to do and give. You know, I'm going to put them all up on the billboard. You know, I'm going to let them know that, you know, if you donate, you know, to this, we'll advertise your business on the billboards, you know, that's out there. You know, I think that's nice. You know what I mean? And also have a frame up, you know, like I did with everybody who was honored last year. Have them posted up too as givers that, you know, helped out with living in my truth and believing, you know, living in my truth, you know. So that's something else that I'm trying to do, you know. I know it's about that time, y'all, and I'm going to let you guys go. Y'all don't forget, for each and every last one of y'all that's on here, please push share, you know, when we come off this live tonight. Let's help other people, you know what I mean? And you just don't have to share it one time. You can go through the week and share. You can share this every day. You know what I'm saying? That will help with the monetizing as well, you know, for living in my truth. So, you know, you just don't have to share one time. Please try to share, you know, one day out of a week. You know what I mean? Let's just keep this rolling and keep it, you know, progressing, you know, as it is, you know, and we're definitely being blessed with this podcast. So I'm going to, again, say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you very much. I appreciate everybody. You know, Stacy said you're looking for sponsors. Absolutely. You know, just like this young lady I'm getting ready to call as soon as I get off here. You know, everybody asks me to be a sponsor. Even at the rehab, I can't sponsor 1,000 people. You know what I mean? This is why I introduce them and welcome them to living in my truth. You know what I'm saying? And that way I feel like that I'm doing a sponsory job at the same time too. You know what I mean? Because I'm only one person. You know, but I need volunteers. I need people who are sponsors or who are willing to sponsor, you know, some of the people who are trying to turn their lives over to the care of God. You know what I mean? And surrender from this madness. You know, you can always inbox me, you know, with information if you're interested in that, you know, and I would appreciate that as well. Again, I thank y'all. You know, I'm going to, you know, finish this off with the serenity prayer. It's God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God's will, not ours. So, see y'all. Thanks for all the stars. If you sent it, I will go through everything. And if you sent a donation, thank you and God bless you.